Welcome, gamers, looter shooter fans, and as of recent, maybe people getting back into the Borderlands franchise. I'm here to express my concerns, because I'm seeing too much positivity, baby. Alright, we need some negative Nancys in the crowd, and I'm happy to bear the cross, if need be. Now, if you're new around the channel, I do videos on anything I'm passionate about, aka I'm pretty passionate about Borderlands. I've clocked in a couple thousand hours in the franchise, most of it being in Borderlands 2, but I've had my fair time on Borderlands 3 and Tiny Tina's, but Tiny Tina's I didn't really play too much. I maxed out a character, didn't really do much else. But, I've played the Borderlandses, alright? I've got skin in the game, okay? And, I can safely say, as a fan, we all wanted Borderlands 4. We don't want Borderlands 3.5, and we don't want Borderlands 2.5, okay? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that if you want Borderlands 2 on the Unreal 5 engine, I should say, this is not it, alright? This is something brand new, okay? And I'm going to be going through all my concerns of the Borderlands 4, everything we've seen so far. As of recording to this video, this has been I believe, roughly a week-ish after PAX East of the Borderlands PAX sorta talk. Alright, so we got an hour of 20 minutes of gameplay, an hour of Randy Pitchford the pedophile yapping. Okay, so this video is just gonna cover a bunch of different topics that I have on my concerns here. A little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, if you will. But without further ado, let's get into some of my concerns here. Up first, we have, let me move my face right there, character design. Now, what do I mean by character design? Well, these characters are ass, alright? Every single character I've seen, what I will say is that the bottom left-hand corner is the updated version. If you don't know, the top right-hand corner, this is what they showcase as the characters, okay? This is only half. The other half isn't much better, okay? But this half this right here is the worst characters I think I've ever seen playable in any video game. I can't think of worse. Okay, maybe Concord exists, okay? Maybe it's a little too harsh. But honestly, these characters aren't far off. These characters look like shit, okay? I know it's a little hard to see because of the resolution. Who the fuck wants to play a, let's just call him a Middle Eastern person, okay, with a nose ring, okay? I'm all for playing a Middle Eastern person, okay, in my games. I've played the Jango Fett, okay, from Star Wars, okay? I have no problem playing a colored man. But I just like the nose ring, the fucking earrings, the generic face. He has like a fuckboy, frat boy, high school haircut, a face of a guy who just came from India, and a nose ring from a guy who's trying to be an edgy teen from fucking the early 2000s, late 1900s. Like, what are we doing here with these character designs, okay? And then the Siren, who made this? She looks autistic. Am I crazy? Maybe she is. Maybe that's the lore. You know, if she is, hey, no offense to my autists in the internet, in the world here. You know, I'm one of them, okay? Not diagnosed, but what the fuck am I looking like? These characters are so ugly. Like, what is this, man? Who looks at this and is like, that's the character I'm playing. Yes, I need this. You're just a fucking bot. I'm sorry, you're an NPC if you look at these characters and you're like, yeah, these characters look great. You know, I'm sorry, like, you're retarded. I'm sorry. But the updated version they had down here, a little bit better. This was showcased in the 20-minute gameplay trailer we had. Bigger fan, okay? I'm a bigger fan of the character designs here. They showcased a lot of the NPCs. I'm pretty neutral on the NPCs. Most of the NPCs didn't look too bad. A lot of them looked very NPC, aka generic, is typically what people use as NPC terminology, if you're a little new around the internet. But yeah, I'm still not impressed though. You know, like, the coolest guy, in my opinion, was this tall fucking dude from, like, the original trailer. This tall, I think his name's Eamon. I think he's cool, This skin that they have on him makes him look like he belongs on a rock band from literally the early 2000s. Like, this looks like he'd be Roderick's fucking bodyguard from Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Like, what the fuck am I looking at? Why showcase this? Regardless, you know, putting the helmet on the, I don't know what nationality this person is, but putting the helmet on the ugly one, I think is actually pretty smart. And I would prefer him to just be default like that. Maybe he's not. We'll have to see, get our hands on it. The Siren, I thought, looks a million times better. With just a slight cosmetic, a slight color shift. It goes from, like, DEI higher Concord wannabe to, like, yeah, okay, this is passable. I don't know what it is. I don't know if, like, the base skin was toned up, because I don't know, maybe the eyes are just too far apart or something. And it's not like a racist thing. Like, it literally looks like there's an issue with the character design. Like an actual model issue. I don't know what it is. It's like it's purposely ugly or something. I don't know. But the newer one looks a little sleek. Maybe, you know, she looks like she lost a little bit of weight, okay? Or something. I don't know. Slim waist. Hey, we're a fan, okay? I like my Asians, okay? But, yeah. I like this design way better than the one they showcased. I'm glad we got some skins. I will say this black chick, I can't remember her name. She's a Trant family member. If you don't know who Trant is, it's an enemy from Borderlands 3. It's not going to matter because none of it's going to get mentioned as Borderlands dialogue goes. We'll get into it. But, yeah, she looks like a dude with this cosmetic. What are we doing? I guess if that's your thing. But it's, again, like, when you have 4 playable characters, not 20. Okay, this isn't a hero shooter like Overwatch or what's it called? Marvel Rivals. Okay, there's not like 20 plus characters to choose from. You have 4, okay? You have to make them all pretty appealing to some type of player, okay? More than just how they play. It's how they visually look, okay? I'm not one that's a make it or break it in terms of who I look like as I play. Sometimes I am. It depends how bad it is. But I'm not playing this dude. I'm not playing... I think his name's Hafa. I'm not playing this dude with this cosmetic. Ever. Ever. If I even... You know, if I buy the game, okay? I'm not fully sold. They might plop out a $150 price tag, and if you don't know why I'm referring to that, Randy Pritchford literally said, I don't know what the price of the game's gonna be, so it's a little concerning there. Just saying, red flags. Hey, this video, if you're sensitive, okay, if you're dick riding this game right now, this video is not for you. All right, this is about the boys, the men, all right, who want to fucking hold our nuts while we stand 10 toes down on the fucking problems with the game. Okay, these are the ones that are gonna call out the problems. This is what this video's for. So yeah, character designs I think are fucking awful. Why do we have fat dad bod Zane? Who asked? Who asked? Who had their hand up at the Gearbox office and it's like, you know what we need? We need a dad bod fat Zane, all right, in fucking Borderlands 4. It's a must, all right? And then his clone didn't reflect it. I didn't show his clone here. I'm just like, what are we doing, boys? You know, what are we doing with these character designs? Again, some of the NPCs, not too bad. Enemy designs are a different story. You know, I'd be too positive about that shit. It's not made for this video. This video is strictly about negativity. Enemy designs I thought looked cool. The NPCs I thought looked like fairly average. You know, some of them looked okay. Mainly the darker toned ones. I'm looking at you, the woman in white, you know. Hey, I'll check out Rule 34 any day of the week for her, just saying. But all the other ones kind of look kind of generic, and, you know, you kind of got to get attached to an NPC to really care about their design. You know, like if you just showed Hammerlock at Sanctuary doing absolutely nothing, I probably wouldn't care about his design, but I love his design a lot more when I have to interact with him in Borderlands 2. It's just something like that, you know? That's kind of the way I look at it. But overall, character designs for the playable characters look like dog shit. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Now, I know there's going to be a shit ton of cosmetics as they showcase in the trailer, but I'm talking base, okay? This little example down here of them touching up with skins and shit, some of them look okay, and then the other ones just look like shit. Like, what are we doing with some of these cosmetics? you know? And then, like, literally, the Trant fucking relative looks like a man in this skin. Why? Who is asking for this? You know? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too nitpicky. Alright, but this video is about negativity. Moving on to my next problem. The performance, okay? The performance of the game. Now, if you're new around the Borderlands, if you're newer to the Borderlands franchise as a whole, I want to thank you for clicking on my video. But, if you're newer to the Borderlands games, almost notoriously, they all have shitty week 1, month 1-ish launch periods. You know, Borderlands 3, fucking terrible. Absolutely bug-ridden game. Day 1. Some people, like, it was a solid, like, 50 to 70% of people barely could, like, fucking play the game. Alright? And that's not including multiplayer, you know? And you'll notice it says crossplay here, okay? Borderlands 4 will have crossplay day 1. We'll see what that means. It could just mean crossplay, seamless co-op, as they're advertising. But the problem I have with this is, to this day, motherfuckers are still having problems with crossplay in Borderlands 3. I get it, updated engine, you know? We're not in 5.3, we're in 5.5, alright? Actually, guys in the chat, but it is just like, if 3 doesn't fucking work properly with the crossplay, with the multiplayer, how do you expect me to go into Borderlands 4 being like, yeah, man, it's going to have seamless co-op and no problems with the crossplay. We'll be able to play with all the boys from the PlayStations, from Switches, all the way to the PC platforms, alright? It's a little... We're shooting for the stars, you know? When so far we've kind of made a macaroni painting, alright? You know? Like, you barely shot the duck that was fucking standing in front of you, alright? Barely was able to graze it with a bullet. And now you're shooting for the stars? Fuck out of here, you know? I don't know, I'm a little suspect of it. Number 2, alright, as far as performance. They're advertising weather in all the zones and everything. Maybe not all the zones, but they're advertising weather and how there's no load times. And I get, like, how... you know, I'm not a game developer, but I understand how when you're in cutscenes or when you're doing certain activities or animations and shit, that's where the load time is, and that's where, like, the game is rendering the next level, next zone, whatever. So I get how it operates, but my problem here, it's their first time doing a no-level design sort of format for Borderlands. I mean, unless you count Tales, maybe, but that's like a story, that's just, it's not, we're not counting that, okay? But the world being completely open world, aka you can see the cliff in the background, like here, and you can just run to it. Sick idea. Love that for Borderlands. I don't know how the fuck they're going to be able to do that, especially with 4 people, especially with increasing enemy density as they're advertising. I get it, updated engine, but these are red flags, okay? Borderlands in general struggles with a decent amount of enemies. I'm talking 10 plus, alright, in Borderlands 3. Now, I'm sure you can get moments in slaughterhouses and shit where you have 20 plus, you know, and your game's running on 1 HP, but I'm just saying, Borderlands 3 already had an enemy density problem, okay, where the game would struggle with a large amount of enemies. This game is gonna have you at, let's say, for example, the Arid Badlands, alright, from Borderlands fucking 1, okay? And somebody else is gonna be in, like, Sledge's Slaughterhouse, or maybe even further, being at, like, what's, like, an endgame zone? What's the cliff area? Fuck. God damn it, I can't remember it. Alright, scrap that. You know, it's like in Borderlands 2, when you start off at, like, let's just say Sanctuary, okay? You're gonna have a friend of yours in Sanctuary and another buddy all the way at fucking Iridium Blight. And you're telling me the game's gonna run no problems, no stutter, no enemies clipping through walls, no fucking vehicles just randomly shooting out of nowhere, you know? AI gonna work properly? Like, I don't know, man. It's just red flags. And listen, okay? I'm excited for the game, alright? I'm a D1 fucking Borderlands hater as of recent, okay? But I will say everything they're promising looks great. I'm just expressing my red flags and concerns here, okay? I've got 10 toes down my concerns, alright? But maybe I'll even do a bingo list before the game comes out, as I am planning on doing a lot more content around Borderlands 4, depending on how the launch goes. But yeah, I just don't trust it, you know? You're saying I'm going to be able to have 4 people on a different platform in different parts of the world. Do other games do this? Yes. Can Borderlands do it? Can Gearbox figure it out for their first time ever in big old 2025? I don't know. It's questionable. Very questionable, you know? The weather thing. You're telling me it's going to be able to snow for a player while another player's inside fucking the sanctuary type zone? And another player's in, like, that space fucking zone? Come on, man. Let's be real, Randy. You know? Let's be real for a second here. I don't think that's going to be flawless, alright? And maybe you're going into it thinking, oh, well, I'm not expecting it to be flawless. It's something they can improve. Okay. Fine by me. You can have that take. Hey, valid take. But I'm just saying, if you're going to release a full-price game, it should be fucking finished. That's all I'm saying. Hey, 10 toes down, who's with me, boys? Alright, but yeah, the weather aspect, no gameplay relativeness, like, no gameplay implements for the weather. Sure, but, like, why is it there? Weather in video games is notorious for chunking, like, your fucking processor and shit for the PC, alright? I know my lingo, okay, when it comes to the PC. But it's notorious for chugging your PC's performance, okay? Maybe the console players won't struggle, but PC players, we might be fucking cooked, alright? Let me tell you. And then you're going to be able to use the speeder and everything. I'm fine with the speeder. It's just, man, I don't know. I don't know how this game, like, I don't know how we're going to go from Borderlands 3 having, like, very rough first week, you know, dipping into a month for Borderlands 3, because I was there for fucking launch, alright? I stuck around for a while when it came to Borderlands 3, but they never really improved it. But you're telling me, like, all these new visual effects, a bunch of enemies, like, this is just screaming red flags and screaming a lot of promise and not being able to deliver. I'm seeing a Cyberpunk 2077 timeline here, alright? And I'm not liking it, okay? So, I'm just really concerned about the performance. I don't know how the fuck they're going to make it operate if Borderlands 3 is struggling to this day. And, like, yeah, just, like, all the new stuff, you know? New visual effects, new skills being used, the new enemy fucking, like, the density, the enemy using special effects and all that. I'm just concerned, alright? I have my concerns. But yeah, performance, big red flags for me personally, especially for the first couple months. And I do say a couple months. I do think the game is going to struggle. I think PC players are in for rough raps. Hey, I'm with you. Alright, guys. But I think console players are also going to have equally big problems. I just think it'll, you know, PC players in terms of performance with the weather and everything, the open world seamless code, like, I'm concerned as fuck for that. But yeah, pretty concerned. But we move on to the next one. There could just be too much shit on the screen, okay? This actually kind of leads into the performance thing. I forgot I even had this fucking slide ready, okay? But, originally, when I was first looking at the HUD, I didn't mind it, okay? I'll keep it a buck. Let me just hide this real quick. I didn't mind it. I'll keep it a buck. But holy shit, is there a lot of fucking things you gotta look at on your screen, you know? You have fucking... You got the boss's health bar up here, you know? You got your objectives over here. You got your fucking spells, grenades, whatever the fuck, auxiliary thing over here, you know? You got your skill fucking cooldown. You got your... auxiliary cooldown thing you gotta monitor. You have another skill fucking cooldown here. You have your health bar you gotta manage. You have your fucking what's this called? You have your all of your players, you know. This is only one name here, but you would have 2 others, I think. Yeah, 2 others for 4-player co-op. You have your syringe cooldown you have to manage. You have your level XP that you might be wanting to manage. You know, the class mod on the bottom. Then you have your weapons elements. I think this is it. And then you have the other element it's about to swap to. Then you have all your weapons on the side. And then you have whatever the fuck that triangle's for. And then you have your pet. Like, bro, there's a lot of shit on the screen, okay? It is done in a sleek way in terms of compressing it down to just the bottom here. And it's honestly probably a good thing there's no mini-map and they just went with a compass. Or actually, it's not a health bar here. I think that is the compass. Little bit of a misspeak. But holy shit, man, that's a lot of stuff on the screen. Like, what the fuck, man? That's a lot of shit I gotta be looking at on my screen. All right, could get annoying over a long period of time. You know, might even take some time to get used to. And you find that middle ground where you're like, okay, I'm kind of used to this, and then you get to endgame, and you're like, there's 5 million things on my screen. Okay, this is not including the shit that you have with your legendaries, the effects your weapons are doing, the effects the enemies are doing. Like, I'm getting really concerned about how this game's gonna run and operate. I get it. Unreal Engine 5.5, or it might even be 5.6 by the time the game's out. Or maybe it's 5.4. You know, I know it's Unreal upgraded. That's all I know about, you know, for sure. I know it's Unreal 5.4 and above. But I'm just like, if Borderlands 3 is struggling, what the fuck do you think's gonna happen with Borderlands 4? Alright, that's all I'm saying. So if you're going into this, like, the game's gonna run fine. It's a modern day 2025 game. Brother, let me tell you, Gearbox don't give a fuck, okay? Just another thing to mention, alright? Borderlands movie does really shit. And I mean, it tanked, alright? They lost like $80+ million on that movie, okay? Probably way more, probably over 100 mil, let's be honest. They lost a lot of money on that movie. And then all of a sudden, Randy announces Borderlands 4 is coming out in the next year. Listen, going into the movie, I was expecting like a reveal of the next game, but the way he went about revealing the game was like, okay guys, let's appease the shareholders. Oh, the new game's coming, don't worry boys. I don't know. You know, you waited about a week, had to pull the fucking movie from the theaters because it was doing so bad and no one was going to it. And then he announces the game. Like, it's just, you could have announced the game at the end of the trailer, you know, day one launch of the movie. Maybe he did him, I'm misremembering, but I think it's a lot of red flags for the performance, guys. But anyways, moving on to the next topic that I'm concerned about with Borderlands 4. The legendary drop concerns. Okay. So on screen, we have what's presumably a legendary, okay? So, quick rundown. Borderlands 1 legendaries were very rare, okay? They were, a lot of them were tied, like, a lot of them you would find in the world way faster than you would actually, like, get and farm. I can't even remember what the first legendary you could farm would be, you know? But there was a lot of uniques in the game that made it sort of filled you up for the time being. You know, like you would kill Nine Toes and you would have the, I think it's a two finger, the lady finger, I want to say, just outside of his lair. And you would have that for a little bit, level 2. Maybe you get the, I think it's the nail clipper or the clipper. It might just be the clipper from Nine Toes. And then you would move on, and then you would, you know, Sludge's Slaughterhouse. There's not really a lot of things there. Ooh, you're kind of getting like, ooh, I want something new. I want something good. And then you get like TK Baja's shotgun wave weapon, you know? That's a sick thing, but not a legendary. So there's a lot of guns in the game to make it unique and a steady path. Borderlands 2, almost every single named boss or mini boss had a legendary tied to it. So those increments of like the blues and purples you would get in 1 were moved to legendaries in 2, and it was so nice feeling because you could feel like, ooh, my god, I just got something rare from the boss. And for the most part, the drop rates were anywhere from 5 to 25%, roughly, okay? You know, there's some weapons that were 1 in 100. You know, there's some that would take you an hour to farm, but roughly, you know, they'd be 1 in 8. You know, for like a Rolling Thunder, I think was like a 1 in 6, 1 in 8. Maybe even more common that you would find like actually farming it, because it was fairly common. But then you would have the rare one being the Logan's gun, and that would be like the 1 in 25, the 1 in 50. You know, Borderlands 3 said, fuck all those odds, alright? You kill an enemy, you get a legendary, buddy. Alright? You get a legendary. You get a legendary. You know, you didn't even fucking kill an enemy. He just ended up dying. Hey, get a legendary, brother. You know? The problem with that was that it just made legendaries meaningless. And the shitty legendaries basically felt like you would never want to use them and would just rather a purple, you know? Where at least in Borderlands 2, even if you got like a shitty legendary like the Deliverance or like a gub, you know? You'd get a gub and be like, oh my god, this is kind of cool. You know, I got a legendary, let me use it. Sledge's shotgun, not the best of weapons, but it's kind of cool to use, you know? Fucking Gunnerang, you know, I had a buddy of mine who Gunnerang was one of his favorite legendaries, not because it was good, it's just because it was tied to an Easter egg boss, and that was one of the first legendaries he got a hold of, you know? So it's just, everyone had a unique experience with legendaries in Borderlands 2. You know, maybe you missed out on the Hornet, but you got a Thunderball Fist. Maybe you missed out on a Thunderball Fist, but you got the bitch at the bunker, you know? Maybe you got that double penetrating uncomparable, you know? There's a lot of opportunity. Maybe you got the fastball. One of my buddies loves the fastball, you know? There's a lot of opportunities in Borderlands 2 to make memories. Borderlands 3, there's no memories. You would kill an enemy and you would just get fucking everything. Early game is a little bit different, but once you got to like level 15, legendaries just start popping out like hotcakes, you know? So wasn't a big fan. A lot of people didn't like it. And eventually it got to the point where you were killing enemies and you were sitting there like raid boss Borderlands 2 style, scanning every item, being like, ooh, is this a good one? Is that a good one? They're all kind of shit. Whatever, I'll just sell them later, you know? And that's not really what you want with a legendary feeling. If I get a legendary in a game, I want to be like D1 style, I just came into my pants, you know? I want to get that Galahorn and fucking, you know? I want to be ecstatic. If you know, you know. Destiny 1, hey, Destiny 1 exotic enjoyers, I hear you. Don't worry. I hear you. But, yeah, I'm just concerned, man. Borderlands 3 had shitty drop rates. And now, I already know, or sorry, like, shitty in terms of, like, they were way too abundant. Borderlands 4, I already know. They've announced that they're doing, I want to say dedicated. I can't remember the exact instance they said dedicated, but they did say legendaries were going to be way harder to get. Don't quote me on it. They might have said dedicated. So if they did, I'm not going to go through it, but they did say they're going to be much harder to get. And the big important thing, hey, this might be a negativity video, but a big W from Gearbox. They admitted they fucked up in Borderlands 3 and they made drop rates too abundant. You know, they made it way too abundant. So you couldn't really get the, oh, I just got a legendary feel from Borderlands 3 ever, okay? And Borderlands 4, they're trying to bring back that feel. I respect it. There's two big concerns here. Number one, the casual community starts complaining, I don't get enough legendaries. Gearbox, I haven't got a legendary. I killed this enemy 5 times and I haven't got a legendary yet. Gearbox. And then they'd just be like, oh, okay, well, 10 people said, fucking legendaries aren't common anymore. Fuck it. Let's just full send it 500% increase on drop rates. Or, which is kind of what I'm leaning for. And this is going to be a negative for the general populi. I don't really see it as that negative. Or, they make it so there's not enough legendaries to give a shit about. And what I mean by that is that Randy himself, if I remember correctly, said that that there will be less legendaries than there were in 3 because of how rare they're going to be. Number one, that doesn't make any fucking sense, okay? The amount of legendaries in the game is determined by the content in the game. Borderlands 3, does it have more legendaries than 2? It might not have more legendaries than 2. But regardless, it has more legendaries than 1, okay? I know that for a fact. Yeah, I know that for a fact. Hopefully. But yeah. It's determined by content. Legendaries are tied to missions, bosses, or unique enemies. That's what legendaries are tied to, and then you can have a few in the world. AKA, you kill an enemy 1 in a million to get a fucking legendary. I'm fine with that. Those are the categories for legendaries. What the fuck do you mean? Because they're gonna be more rare, there's gonna be less legendaries. If Borderlands 4 starts with like 10 legendaries, guys, we might be cooked. You know, I'm gonna be really worried if the game has like under 20 legendaries. Like, hand on the Bible, you know? I'd be fucking concerned. Mainly because, like, that's not enough at this point for a looter shooter. You know, if you want to go play a looter shooter, you can go play Destiny. You can go play Borderlands 2. You know, you can play the better version, like, really good looter shooters. The Dune game's coming out. Not really sure if that's a looter shooter, but it could go under the genre. You have Warframe. You have so many fucking good, like, really high quality live service. Or, well, I mean, Borderlands 4 is probably going to be live service. I think it is a live service. But you have all these great live service and old looter shooters to go to. This game has to have a lot of fucking content, okay? To keep players invested. Because if I'm playing this, and there's like 10 legendaries, I might go fucking play Outriders for fuck's sakes, you know? If there's no reason to grind, and there's only 10, one of them's good, the 9 of them are shit. Might be cooked, you know? I don't want legendaries to actually be the pearlescence from 2, and be only from, like, not only for the Borderlands 2 heads, but pretty much only from fucking world drops, you know? That's typically when you're gonna get your first legend or pearl in Borderlands 2. I don't want it to be that. I actually don't mind if they have like 30 to 40 legendaries and they're like really, like, I'm talking like 1 in 100s is the best drop rate for the legendaries. I wouldn't mind that purely because that means I get to grind a lot more. I just like wasting my time. But the general populi would not enjoy it. I promise you, if they do, like, the Pearl method, where it's pretty much random drops, you're gonna get a fucking legendary. It's 1 in, like, 8,999, whatever it is. Like, whatever the world drop chances are in Borderlands 2. If that's what it's looking like, it's gonna be rough for the general populi players. And then they might actually overcorrect the odds and everything. And so far, we haven't seen, like, a crazy amount of legendaries. And there's the whole, like, part aspect, too, so maybe the legendaries are completely different because of the way the parts work in the game, and that's why there's only 10, but I'm just saying, big red flag, if their reasoning on why there's not going to be a lot of legendaries in the game is because they're rarer, that's not how the fuck that works, you know? You're comparing apples to oranges here, you know? Like, you're trying to put the triangle in the square hole. That's... No, brother. No, it doesn't work that way, okay? I don't know. I'm a little concerned, personally, with how they do legendaries, even though it's great that they're making it harder to get legendaries. I'm just worried to see what their reasoning behind them cutting a lot of legendaries, not having enough legendaries, or how they sort of treat the community's response with legendaries. I'm interested to see what happens. But I am concerned, alright? Moving on to the next point. This is the last point of the video, by the way. It's already 33 minutes of ranting. This might be the last Borderlands game, whether you or I like it or not, okay? And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm predicting that this game, on sales, does worse than Borderlands 3. Now, of all the things we've seen from Borderlands 4, it's cooking, okay? Hey, admittedly, this video's been 99% negative. The game is cooking, okay? There's a lot of great things. Open world aspect, cool. Seamless co-op, cool. The guns look sick. The skills look cool. Admittedly generic in terms of, you know, oh, you have another person who puts someone in a bubble. Oh, you have another person who does a AoE fucking spin. Whoa, you know? They're not, like, exactly reinventing the wheel. Ooh, another character who summons a companion. Whoa, haven't seen that before in my Borderlands game. Flack, where are you at? But, yeah. The game is cooking. There's a lot of great things about the game that we've seen. Enemy design. The gore system. That's a big W that a lot of people, I think, haven't really been mentioning in their videos. Yeah, I lurk. Alright? I've been watching the videos of other people. Okay? But, yeah, overall, this could be the last Borderlands game, and the main reason is how the fuck they do in the first month. If in the first month, the game is still a buggy, like, I'm talking, like, day one after the first month, so we're looking at a September, 12th launch? So we're looking at October 12th, 13th. If by that time, we're looking at a buggy, messy piece of shit, where it's barely playable, the game crashes at any endgame zone, Multiplayer is down and not working. Crossplay has been disabled for the whole month. No update on when that happens. I can see the timeline, guys. All right, I can see it. You know, characters, and you know, there's a lot of balancing problems that happen with Borderlands 3. Mayhem levels being absolutely a fucking joke. OP levels aren't great. I'm not gonna sit here and like 10 toes down on OP levels. OP levels aren't a great system, but they're a hell of a lot better than fucking Mayhem levels. I'll tell you that much. All right. So even if they have to copy and paste OP levels, that's a better solution than having a shitty change every week how Mayhem works, you know? The characters. I remember I was a Zane main, okay? That shit was cancer on fucking the first couple months, alright? Arguably first year, alright? Zane, compared to the other Vault Hunters, was like putting a bullet to your skull playing the game at max level. When I was doing Gravelord, people who know, alright? When I was doing Gravelord, I literally was at a buddy's place, and we were taking turns farming the boss on each other's account. He did it on his flak, you know? And it wasn't like I wasn't running good gear. I promise you I was running that Lucian's Call fucking, what was that other, like, rifle thing, or the pistol? I can't remember the names, but I promise you I was running good shit, okay? I was running, like, meta builds, and it was still struggling. It literally took me, like, 20 minutes to kill Grave Ward, alright? He swapped to his flak, 7 seconds. What are we doing, alright, with the balancing in the game, okay? Did they eventually fix it? Yeah. Is it acceptable that it took them, like, 2+ years to fix the balancing and make every character, like, playable at the end game on a relatively scaled sort of balance? No, it's not acceptable, man. Alright? If you're releasing a fully priced game, $100 plus USD game, alright? I'm expecting this game to, like, have the high-level quality that all the other equally priced games are going to be. This isn't Schedule 1. I'm not buying this game for $20, alright? This isn't an early access game, okay? This is a fully finished, full-price game. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when you are playing this game, alright? I understand honeymoon phase is a thing, but if you're going to learn anything from my channel, alright? We keep it honest and based around here, alright? 10 toes down, you know? And there's things that people will like and other people won't. And likes and dislikes are different from bad and good, you know? Drop rates being absolutely fucking abundant, and you kill an enemy, you get 3 legendaries. That is unacceptable. That is terrible game design. On no game is that ever going to be acceptable to have legendaries like that, alright? Especially a looter shooter, especially a Borderlands, you know? And then, if you like, let's say you like, using the bitch, right? Maybe that's your favorite weapon. Let's just say Borderlands 4 has the bitch, alright? Maybe that's your favorite weapon, but your buddy really likes, the Hellfire, alright? Let's say that's in Borderlands 4. Let's say Borderlands 2's versions in 4, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, relatively equally sort of balanced in terms of how good they are weapons, right? Those are just, like, subjective opinions. But if the game is physically unplayable, crossplay doesn't work, right? And the game is a buggy mess, it is shit, okay? And if that's the case, this is the last Borderlands game they'll probably ever make. Maybe other than a Tales game. Alright? If they want to fucking throw more money into a Fireplace. Because that game did not do well either. Alright? So, this game is their last chance. And I didn't even get into, like, dialogue and shit. The dialogue is going to be terrible. If the dialogue is, like, as cringe as Borderlands 3, this game is going to plummet. This game's going to go from... I can already see the fall off, man. And that's another thing. Borderlands 3 had all the hype in the world. You have no idea how me and the boys were excited for Borderlands 3 coming out. The teasers, everything. It had all the hype in the world. Every YouTuber's chatting about it. Before any super mega controversies, like with the morning after kill Jolt's dude, Killer 6 drama situations, right? Where Epic NNG or Epic NPC, whatever the fuck his name is, you know, making expose videos on YouTubers who are literally just addressing concerns and being like, yo, fix this game, or this part of the game fucking sucks, and they get blacklisted from every single social media person, you know, or YouTuber in the space, because that money, alright? Hey, 10 toes down, you'll never fucking see me do that, okay? And I mean that shit on G, alright? On crit, on funnel grave, alright? Straight facts, no printer type shit, alright? I'm not ever gonna shill out for a fucking company like Gearbox, alright? Or Bungie, okay? Just saying, don't be hitting my DMs, alright, Gearbox? I don't want none of that hard drive shit near me, Randy Pitchford, you fucking. But yeah, this could be the last one, and like, it really does come down, can it survive the first year? And what I mean by survive, not like, oh, people play the game. Yeah, people play Concord. There was, what, 12 people playing that game at some point? People will play dog shit, pieces of garbage games. Just because it has players doesn't mean the game's actually good, okay? It just means those people playing love eating shit. It happens, you know? Can it live? Is the game in the green, alright? Is the game doing the best out of all the other games? Is the game looking to be the best Borderlands, alright? So far from everything we've seen, it looks promising. But promises can be broken from this company, alright? It's not the first time it's happened, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last, okay? So, we'll have to wait and see what happens. At the end of the day, we're about 4 months away from launch. What month is it? It's, what month is it? It's, you know, May, so May, July, August, September. Yeah, we're looking at like a 4 month-ish from the recording of this video. Little under 4 months until the game launches. I'm concerned, alright? I have a lot of red flags, but I am more hopeful now than I've ever been about Borderlands 4, so I'm a D1 hater. Hey, I might be Plat 3 in Rainbow Six Siege, but you bet your ass I'm a D1 hater in Borderlands content. So, with all that being said, I want to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video and listening to me ramble on about a game that I am very passionate about. That's where this comes from at the end of the day. And as always, I hope you have a good day.